Maryland is the most recent state to request a reinsurance plan through the federal government using the 1332 Innovation Waiver process. Now, the Department of Health and Human Services has deemed Maryland's application complete, which means we are now in an open public comment period for people to weigh in on whether or not reinsurance should become a thing in the state of Maryland. Now, Maryland is familiar with some of these processes. They've had a state reinsurance program in 2015 to 2016. They have a state benefit exchange, which would then be responsible for running the state reinsurance program with federal money and support if approved. And they're doing some interesting funding mechanisms to make this happen, which makes them distinct from states like Wisconsin, which propose different funding mechanisms to get this going. So let's talk through what this looks like. The state of Maryland seeking federal funds to create a state reinsurance program. Substantial state funds have been proposed in the application, making it quite appealing, they think, to the federal government. Now, reinsurance is one of those risk stabilization and premium stabilization measures that a lot of states have been looking to as there has been created some uncertainty in the marketplace due to many factors: the the GOP tax bill, short-term insurance, association health plans, individual mandate restrictions, destabilizing premiums across the board, and states are looking to ways to kind of shore those up. Reinsurance was envisioned in the original Affordable Care Act as a federal measure as a way to help stabilize premiums. That got met with a lot of political rancor early on and never was fully funded and implemented. So states are looking to ways to do it themselves. The money that the feds save in tax subsidies would be how they would then fund states to provide reinsurance. So if you can lower premiums in your state, then the feds wouldn't be responsible for as many premium tax subsidies, and that leftover money could then be funneled back into the state to be used for reinsurance. That's been across the board part of the proposal for reinsurance 1332 waivers from states that have applied. It is because they have to be budget neutral. So these are called pass-through funds. Funds that were originally intended for one purpose can be used for the other purpose, and you're not, in theory, spending any more federal money. Now, Maryland's reinsurance program, as we said, would be operated through people that have done this before. They want to ask for $97 million from the feds, which isn't a whole lot of money, because they're going to offer about $365 million of their own dollars. They're going to do this by the proposed 2.75% assessment on certain health plans and Medicaid managed care organizations in their state. And this is what makes them different from states like Wisconsin. Wisconsin wanted to use Medicaid lapse money saved from not enrolling people in Medicaid or left over at the end of the day in the Medicaid budget to then pay for subsidized private insurance holders. What Maryland wants to do is just tax the health plans. Now, the plan says, well, this is the money that these insurance plans would have paid anyway on the Affordable Care Act's fee on net premium. So it's money they should have already accounted for spending. We're just going to use that for a reinsurance purpose instead. Like we said, they're hoping to raise over $365 million in 2019 for this, for a total cost of $462 million. They see it as short-term, only lasting a couple years. They don't see this as a reinsurance plan that's going to run long into the future. They said we need immediate, big stabilization now, and then we might not need it anymore if we do this right the first time. They do use that same attachment point and cap method. If your bill is big enough, that's where the reinsurance payment attaches up to a certain cap. That's the way Wisconsin structured their reinsurance plan. That is still before the feds for approval. They're hoping to reduce premiums by about 30% by using this reinsurance plan, and at the same time hoping to get about a 6% bump in enrollment in the marketplace. There are concerns from some health plans about duplicate payments from insurers under risk adjustment. That opens up the door for a modern conversation of, does it matter if the feds aren't making risk adjustment payments for that were owed to the insurance plans anyway? But that's a conversation that's still evolving. If approved, this would happen right away for the 2019 plan year, which means the feds have to give the state of Maryland their answer before the end of August, or this doesn't happen. It's a quick timeline and enough distinction here that it might take the feds a little bit of time to figure all of this out. You can read that Maryland waiver yourself. You can click on the links in the description below. You can read the CMS Completeness letter. This is the letter that says, we've got everything we need. We're opening the public comment period. We also give you the email address if you want to weigh in on Maryland's reinsurance plan. The email address is below, and you can click make sure you put in the subject heading Maryland Section 1332 waiver comments. You can send your comments to us if you want us to talk about it here or send us a question. And you can do all of that at healthwatchwisconsin.org.